He remembered to say thank you. In a little town on the top of a hill at the end of a narrow street, a kind old priest with tears in his eyes wiped the dust from his tired feet. He sat with Hiram and stared at the ground. The words were hard to say. Hiram, he said, I have very sad news. You must leave this town right away. You have a disease called leprosy. I wish it were not true. But you must go so your family and friends don't get the sickness from you. No one should ever come close to you, so if you should meet a stranger, cry out very loudly, unclean, stay away, to warn him about the danger. Hiram left town. He felt hurt and alone when everyone called him unclean. He wanted to say goodbye to his friends, but they were afraid to be seen. They hid behind stairways, peeked around doors, and climbed up the tallest trees. They were so frightened they stayed far away from their friend with the dreaded disease. Can't do it. He went to a cave nearby that he and his friends had found. When they had come to play there together, the cave had a cheerful sound. He leaned against a sycamore tree and looked at the clear blue sky. He wanted to dance and sing again. Instead, he started to cry. Tears trickled down his thin, pale cheeks as he prayed, God, let me be free. I'll thank you and serve you every day if you'll cure my leprosy. For many years, Hiram lived alone. Then very late one night, 9 more lepers came with such wonderful news, it made Hiram dance with delight. Jesus is coming this way tomorrow. We've come to see him, they said. He must have the power to heal leprosy. He brought people back from the dead. Hiram kept dancing and shouting for joy. His happiness spilled everywhere. Jesus was coming the very next day. God had answered his prayer. He tossed and turned in his bed all night. He was much too excited to rest. What would he say when Jesus came? Would Jesus hear his request? Long before the sun came up, when the air was very still, he got up quickly and left the cave and climbed to the top of the hill. He waited and watched the road for hours. His body began to ache. He closed his eyes and nodded his head. He couldn't stay awake. The sun was low in the orange sky when Hiram awoke with a start. He jumped to his feet and looked around. Fear filled his pounding heart. I missed him, Hiram cried to himself. Something always goes wrong. How could I miss my chance to be healed? Why did I sleep so long? Then far away he heard the sound of a noisy, laughing crowd. He saw the dust from their tramping feet rise in a swirling cloud. He rubbed his eyes and shook his head to be sure it wasn't a dream. A happy cheer got stuck in his throat, then escaped in a squeaky scream. The lepers all ran down the hill. We're tired of being alone. Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. Please heal us so we can go home. A hush fell over the startled crowd. Fear danced in their terrified eyes. They began to shout, keep away from us! But Jesus silenced their cries. He turned to the men who were still far away and called out across the field, go into the village and find the priest to show him that you have been healed. The countryside rang with happy shouts as the 10 men rushed to the priest. They couldn't wait to be welcomed home with a party or maybe a feast. But suddenly Hiram stopped and remembered the promise he made in his prayers. He ran back and said, I thank you, Lord, for showing me how much God cares. Jesus was silent, then asked the crowd, where are the other men? Why has only one man returned when God's gift was given to 10? Of all those men, only this one remembered to thank God for what he received. Go home to your friends, Jesus said to Hiram. You are well because you believed.